It is my pleasure now to invite Mr. Josy Paul, Chairman and Chief Creative Officer, BBDO India, to deliver the keynote address titled Understanding the Customer's Mindset, the Do's and Don'ts. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Josy Paul. Can we have a hand mic, please? Or
hear me? Okay, excellent. So I work for an ad agency called BBDO, and we set it up 7 years ago. I know this session's titled Do's and Don'ts. I don't think anyone can really do a do's and don'ts. You can only do a do's, and then something happens and you'll learn the don'ts. Yeah. So that's your risk. I'm going to give you a very personal point of view.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can I just fix your mic?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So sorry to everyone. Just give us a second to fix Sir's mic.
What? What's happened?
This wire's hanging on.
So you can hear me? Yeah. So this is a very personal point of view. It's come over quite a few decades of interacting with consumers, and it's also the way that times have changed, media has changed, the consumer has changed, and the way you talk to consumers have changed. So I've decided to present this point of view called the power of the small idea. And when I show you some of the work here, you may remember it. In fact, the first piece of work has done beautifully well for Ariel in India, and I'm going to, through that, give you some principles that maybe will help you in what you do. Yeah, I don't think I can have a direct correlations. I cannot have a do's and don'ts, as I said. Life and advertising are not instructional. They are based completely on where the consumer is. And I cannot put it into a box and say this is how the world is, because the world changes. And so this is a response to a changing world. Yeah. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say. So the power of the small idea, can you read that? Do you need the lights a bit dim? Can you read what's on the slide? Yeah. So the power of the small idea is the power to affect behavior in small ways. Yeah, a lot of times we see all these fantastic ads and we say, wow, what a great ad. Yeah, and then that's where we leave it, right? We're sort of looking up at an ad and saying fantastic, but how does it affect behavior? How does it change who we are? How does a brand affect the behavioral change of the person? Awesome. What's that? That's television. So how can brands affect behavior? You can't change behavior overnight. You can't change behavior in massive leaps. That only environmental changes can do that. But advertising can change behavior in very small ways. And this humble point of view is what I bring to you. It's the power to move society forward. A lot of the work that we do, whether it's for finance companies or for detergents or for whatever, Whisper, which I'll show you, is things that try to move society forward, try to create a positive change. And that for me is the do. Yeah? And I'll show you an example by playing this piece of work that we did for Ariel in India. And let me tell you a little more after you see the film that we did. The next, no. Go back. Yeah. Loud, please.
Leg, helmet.
होमवर्क हो गया?
मम्मी ये देखो.
फिर दाग लगा दिया. पापा ये लीजिए आपके घर जाने की टिकट. Hello, yeah, I'm just going to send you the email in 5 minutes. Yeah, give me 5 minutes. I'm working on the present.
मेरी छोटी सी गुड़िया.
Yeah. Okay.
कितनी बड़ी हो गई, घर घर खेलती थी, अब घर संभालती है, ऑफिस संभालती है. आई एम सो प्राउड एंड आई एम सो सॉरी. सॉरी कि ये सब तुम्हें अकेले करना पड़ता है. सॉरी कि जब तुम घर घर खेलती थी तो मैंने तुम्हें रोका नहीं. ये नहीं कहा कि ये सिर्फ तुम्हारा काम नहीं है, तुम्हारे हस्बैंड का भी है. पर कहता भी कैसे है.
और मेरी ग्रीन शर्ट धो देना.
मैंने भी तो कभी तुम्हारी मम्मी की हेल्प नहीं की, और तुमने जो देखा वही सीखा. तुम्हारे हस्बैंड ने भी बचपन में यही देखा होगा. घर घर खेलते वक्त वो टीवी देखने की या न्यूज़पेपर पढ़ने की एक्टिंग करता होगा, और तुम जैसी कोई छोटी सी लड़की चाय बनाने की एक्टिंग करती होगी. उसके डैड की तरफ से सॉरी, तुम्हारे डैड की तरफ से सॉरी, और हर उस डैड की तरफ से सॉरी जिसने कई कई सालों से एक गलत एग्जाम्पल सेट किया. पर अभी भी देर नहीं हुई. इस सॉरी के साथ मैं अपनी तरफ से एक छोटी सी कोशिश करूंगा कि घर के काम में मम्मी की हेल्प करूं. किचन का किंग ना बन पाऊं तो कम से कम लॉन्ड्री में तो हाथ बटाऊं. इतने साल एक गलत एग्जाम्पल सेट किया है, अब कुछ सही कर जाऊं. तुम्हारा पापा.
So we did this ad for Ariel, and most guys will say, well, there's no selling message, nothing's happening in the ad, what's the big deal? 50 million views in 50 days. Every day, 1 million views. India's most viral ad. We have got more than 2 lakh comments. All those comments are so emotional that you can write 100,000 books just based on those beautiful stories that people wrote to us. It affected the country deeply. More importantly, it sort of changed the outlook of many people around the world. It was a starting point. All we were saying is, guys, don't just throw your clothes around. At least put it in the machine. That's all we're asking you to do, a small act. Yeah? It's not a campaign. We always look at things as a campaign, something that you sell, commerce, give me the money, show me the money. I think brands and advertising can play a dual role even as they create business results. They can affect change, and they can affect change in small ways. And that's why we say it's not a campaign, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to let the world come in with the brand to discuss issues. It's not an ad. It's not a brand saying things to please consumers. Yeah? I don't know how you guys felt. You all were very silent. I hope you guys are okay. Was the food all right? Yeah? There are more guys in the room, that is why. I know. But come on, there are women too. It's a brand doing things, but thanks for saying that. It's a brand doing things. It's a brand doing things. And it's a commitment. It's not just saying things. And I'll show you what I mean. Yeah? Let me just play you the case study of what happened after we created this ad. If you could just play the case study, please. Sorry, this is to the men, huh, guys?
They never saw their dads help out at home.
We'll have to start again.
And as a result, they too end up. Most Indian men believe household chores are a woman's job. Because growing up, they never saw their dads help out at home. And as a result, they too end up passing on this inequality to their children. As a leading detergent brand, Ariel decided to help end this cycle of inequality at home. So we launched Dads Share the Load.
मेरी छोटी सी गुड़िया, सॉरी कि जब तुम घर घर खेलती थी तो मैंने तुम्हें रोका नहीं. ये नहीं कहा कि ये सिर्फ तुम्हारा काम नहीं है, तुम्हारे हस्बैंड का भी है. पर कहता भी कैसे.
On the BBC World Service, an advert comes along that really captures people's imagination. Well, the latest advert to go viral comes from India, and it's called Share the Load. Sheryl Sandberg, of course, famously has promoted it and told people to click on it.
Working parents manage a complex balancing act of work and home, but they are making strides sharing the load, according to a new report.
इतने साल एक गलत एग्जाम्पल सेट किया है, अब कुछ सही कर जाऊं। तुम्हारा पापा।
Yeah, so that's a quick look at the impact that it's had. It's just the beginning. The kind of stories we're getting from around the world, the kind of calls we're getting from around the world, tells us that the power of advertising is greater than what all of us in this room think it to be. And it's greater than all that I thought it could be. Because what we've seen is a phenomenon. It can happen with one ad, it can happen with any ad. It all depends on your intent and where you are coming from. Yeah, so that's your do. I mean, do what you have to do. But know that it can affect a lot of people if you want it to. So it's the power to create change. It's less about words and more about actions. If you look at this closely, we tied up with retail manufacturers and retailers and people who sort of supply you garments. And we said there's something that's missing in the wash care label that you have, which tells you how to wash your clothes. And we added this one element, which you'll see. It says can be washed by both men and women. Yeah. So that's, you can see that when change has to happen, you can touch any point where the consumer is touching. It's not the conventional advertising. It is all about where you as a brand, where you as an agency, where you as an individual is coming from. We're trying to create change. We tied up with Jeevan Sati, and if you look closely, you can read it. It says one of the clauses that you have to fill is that will you share the load of household chores with your partner? That's one of the things you got to fill. Yeah, so we didn't stop at an ad. The images are a bit weak here. We even created a symbol for gender equality at home because even WHO or UN or whatever had forgotten that it's not just about gender equality. It's about gender equality at home because people behave differently at home than when they behave outside. So the small idea is a small unit of action. Yeah, and it's a very humble, small unit of action, but it can make a huge difference to the world. I'd like to play you this piece of work we did for Whisper. It's a case study. It's called Touch the Pickle. Yeah. No, you'll have to play that. Yeah. Thank you.
In India, nobody talks about periods. It's treated like a bad word, a curse. What's worse, as soon as they hit puberty, girls are introduced to many different don'ts. Don't worship, don't enter the kitchen, and the most ridiculous one, don't touch the pickle. Almost every home stores pickle in a jar that looks like this. And menstruating women are not allowed to touch this jar, as it is believed if impure women touch it, the pickle will rot. Whisper decided it was time to bust these myths, so we launched Whisper Touch the Pickle, giving women a voice to challenge period taboos. We started with a bold film showing a young woman defying tradition and touching the pickle jar. It opened the floodgates of opinion and debates. It became a platform for women to question, ridicule, and bust these period taboos. At a press event, India's leading Bollywood star almost punched the journalist who termed periods as a problem.
Problem? You need to start respecting girls.
This became national news, and even Scoop Whoop spread the word. Stand-up comics picked it up.
Just by touching it. Just imagine the power of an army of menstruating women.
It was even talked about at TED.
We dream of a future where menstruation is not a taboo. not a curse.
Whisper tied up with Aditi Gupta and launched comic books about the subject. In Delhi University, women began writing messages on their pads. A subject that was once hidden was now an open debate. But the most important thing was, Indians were finally speaking about it.
Sanitary napkin not acceptable, is menstruation not acceptable, or are women as whole not acceptable to the society?
Over 2.9 million women pledged to touch the pickle, earn media worth $6.1 million. Whisper's share of voice grew from 21% to 91%. And so did the voice of women.
Yeah, she touched the pickle!
Thank you. I know, I don't want to sound like an activist. We're not activists. We're just people who are promoting brands by doing good. We feel that every brand has a larger purpose, and if you can find that, and if it can be in sync with what your commerce is or your business objectives are, that's fantastic. Because then you can do two things at the same time. You can push business results and you can push society forward. Yeah, we're not making any judgments here. Everything we do is a platform for people to discuss. The brand doesn't say do it. The brand says let's discuss. Yeah, so we provoke a conversation. We try and get people to discuss this so that something happens. Yeah, these are the small behaviors that I'm talking about. Are you guys with me? Yeah, it's a slightly different point of view about advertising, and I just thought, I should share my personal point of view, and I hope that's okay. The power of the small idea is the power of the people. That's the beautiful thing. It's not what we write. It's what people say. In a world where there's two-way communication, in a world where there's technology, in a world of mobile phones, you can get involved in this work, right? With all your devices, you can get involved and engaged in advertising. So our work engages people. It brings in stories. It brings in reactions. It provokes conversation. And for us, that's important because it is the power of the people. People decide. It's not our idea. The power to spark movements. And a lot of our work creates movements. And I think a mutual fund brand has the ability to do that as well because it's so close to the consumer, because it's all about his or her everyday money. Words come easy, but actions create change because action is real. For us, it's about what is the action, what is the commitment of the brand. Don't give me promises because we've been giving each other promises for too long. Yeah, promises are broken very easily, whether in a relationship or in advertising or whatever. But all we ask for is, can we together, consumer and brand, have some commitment? It's like an engagement ring before a marriage. Show something. Show some commitment. So I'll show you some commitment, which is brilliant. You can't read this. This is an international example. And it's not as intense as the other pieces that I showed you because you're probably saying, hey man, we've had a nice bit of lunch and this guy is coming and giving us these intense stuff. So let me lighten it a bit. This is Burger King. And Burger King is number 2 in Australia. Okay, so what they did was on World Peace Day, they put out a press ad, which you can't read too clearly. But for those who think that a press ad doesn't work, this is one of the most mind-blowing press ads because it's not because it's clever in its design or style of writing. It's simply because they said it's an open letter from Burger King to McDonald's. And they said, on World Peace Day, Mr. McDonald's, can you and I create a burger which is half McDonald's and half Burger King? Yeah, let's come halfway and create this burger which is half Burger King and half McDonald's. It's so cheeky, right? It's so audacious. And they said we'll call it the Mac Whopper, the Mac Whopper. And of course, McDonald's said, get lost, we're not interested. And so see what happened in social media because of that. I think we've got to play this. I'll just, let's play this. This is the case study of what happened after they ran that simple ad.
Story you guys have been been waiting for. I don't know if you saw this.
Yes.
This is the New York Times today. There was an ad that was taken out by Burger King.
To McDonald's, when Burger King
asks McDonald's to join forces
to create the ultimate burger.
The McWhopper.
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 Thank you, Hooper.
McWhopper.
Proceeds would benefit the nonprofit called Peace One Day.
The letter invited readers to McWhopper.com, a multilingual microsite and a hub for consumers and media to source and share a variety of campaign assets. A media kit in disguise.
Corporate activation on this scale creates mass awareness.
We designed a proposed pop-up restaurant, the packaging, even the staff uniforms.
Social media is dining out on McWhopper. It's everywhere.
And you gotta love this. Burger King has extended the olive branch in McD's own backyard.
Sadly, McDonald's CEO nixed the idea.
We love the intention, but think our two brands could do something bigger to make a difference. P.S. A simple phone call will do next time.
What an
Are they stupid? McDonald's!
But everyone else said yes. Inspired by our online burger build film, the DIY McWhopper was born.
And if you're looking to make the McWhopper a reality, you'll just have to take matters into your own hands. Today, thousands of do-it-yourself McWhoppers have been created and shared on social media.
Why isn't this a real thing?
This is the first time I've ever eaten a burger for world peace. I mostly just eat them because I'm hungry.
Meanwhile, 4 other restaurant chains raised their hands for peace.
They combined a whole bunch of different amazing sandwiches to make one super amazing sandwich.
You got big major corporations doing it. Why not small people? We can do the same thing, you know?
Peace out. Peace out.
That's cheeky, isn't it? That's amazing. It's won every marketing award in the world right now because it's probably the cheekiest act any marketing guy has done with a burger. Okay, there are so many more important things in the world, right? But these guys have taken Peace Day and created something magical. Yeah, suddenly everybody's talking about this campaign. So I'm saying that there are so many different ways. Yeah, Ravi is here, and Ravi is a pal of mine, and he's missed 2 of the work that I showed, Ravi, but Share the Load and Whisper. But this is something that I fully respect happening out of Australia. So why is all this, what am I saying? Why is all this important? This is important because the way we interface with media is changing. Yeah. What you did in the past, what I did in the past is irrelevant. We had one TV spot and we kept running it. But today, everybody is involved. The target audience is not one person. The target audience is one person plus all his friends and everyone else who's commenting on his brand. So it's a collective world. And in a super collective world, which is super social, you have to have an idea which is super social. Yeah, and so a lot of our ideas, if you noticed, whether it was Touch the Pickle or Share the Load or what you saw with McWhopper, they're all super social because they accept the reality of a new world that is fully, completely, media-centric but multimedia. So we're keeping these points when we think about the idea, which is why we say the changing nature of the media is changing the way we look at the idea. The kind of ideas I used to write in the 90s and early 2000s different from the way we write now, and you've seen that. You could feel it, right? This is something we did for Gillette in 2009. When Gillette came to us asking us for a TV spot, we said there's no way your TV spot's going to work. Because right now, everyone's looking at these cool dudes, like, Dravid at that time and, the actors on Bollywood, and all of them had this light stubble. Now, if I put an ad on TV, and you're talking about clean-shaven men, but after that your icons are all got stubble, what's the credibility of your work? So we said you've got to do something totally different. So we did this crazy movement called Women Against Lazy Stubble. Yeah, This was the first time any marketing campaign in the world had ever tried something like this. We never knew it would work. Let me show you what happened. Make it louder.
Women Power has come together to start a lobby group called WALLS, also known as the Women Against Lazy Stubble. Now, this organization aims at unifying women of the country against men who refuse to shave off their stubble. WALLS is launched. Heavy traffic on the website shaveindia.com.
It all started with women joining hands, forming the group Women Against Lazy Stubble. That's
Request all men to shave, and I've tried to make them shave. Guys, please go and shave. The shabby look will go away.
Women Against Lazy Stubble.
And won't just take the lazy stubble. Lazy stubble.
Stubble at the moment. Oops.
Women joined WALLS in large numbers.
Now at a surprisingly affordable price, 125 rupees. Gillette, the best a man can get.
शेवदान अभी शुरू होने वाला है. 2000 आदमी अपनी दाढ़ी गंवाने वाले हैं.
चल चल सड़कों पे होगी ठंड ठंड.
Thank you. So this was when nobody had explored something like this. There was no past. My professors had never taught me this. My teachers, my parents, my peers. We just went with the flow of the moment. And we felt that this had to be done. And the way it took off, when we put our first idea, we didn't even have an agency at that time. I was operating from a coffee shop in Bandra. And we had this idea of creating Women Against Lazy Stubble. And the two of us went and met Gillette. And, you know, they said, we'll put it out on Facebook. Let's see if it catches fire. And sure enough, in 2 hours, it was like the pages were just filling up. And that's when PNG, you know, being so brave, said, there's something magical happening here. Let's take it across the board, across every touch point, whether it's film or what you saw, activation, the works. But the funny thing that happened was there was a counter group that was formed. It was called Men Against Women Against Lazy Stubble. Yeah? And they called themselves Mawalis. M-A-W-A-L-I-S. And they surrounded PNG saying, we ban your products because you're questioning our fundamental right as a man. Yeah, so they wrote to Cincinnati, the headquarters of PNG. But the people at PNG stood their ground and refused to budge. When we were doing that event at the end, you saw that mass event, 2,000 people shaving at one shot. These guys surrounded us and began to throw stones at us. Okay, now I had not joined advertising to get stoned this way. So I was a bit concerned and I tried to run. My client caught me and said, this is your idea, where are you going? Yeah? And that's the power of these guys, the bravery, the courage, the amazing things that I've felt from the people I work with, our clients, advertisers. Yeah, and that's how all this happens. And through the process, you learn a little more about your audience. So it's not me standing here and saying this is what your target audience is. I think we're all part of it, and we all have to understand how we're talking to each other, and we've got to understand the nature of the medium. And everything we've done has had no past. It has come purely as a response to a human condition, and nothing more than that. And media has helped us. Yeah, so I think that's what we've got to get to our inner awareness. Simple, honest, easy to do actions. That's what we try to do. And that's how we start a movement. Now, we've got 4 minutes left. Maybe you guys have questions. So I'm not going to go through this whole presentation because I think we've also started a bit late. But I will show you, I've got a lot of examples of stuff we've done. And the truth is that brands can be a force for good. Yeah, they can affect change more than governments. That's what we believe very, very deeply about this. And that we are more powerful as brands than Hollywood or Bollywood, because Hollywood and Bollywood lived with us for 2 hours in a dark room. But brands live with us on a daily basis, touching us every day. And if brands can affect change through small behavioral acts, then, society moves forward. So we say, don't just write a script and you got to re-script society. So every time somebody comes to me with a script, I say, it's just a script. Where is the inner truth? What are you affecting? I just don't want a script which is about people, it's a simple humor or something like that, which is fine. All that is good. But it has to move something. It has to have a small behavioral change. And therefore, I keep saying everyone's looking for a big idea. I believe in the power of the small idea, a small act, a small action that creates change. And so we say create acts, not acts. Yeah, so that's my message, guys. Thank you for listening. Any questions? Yeah.
So how do we connect this thing with our financial services sector? Like how do we...
That's a good question. You'll have to talk to us professionally, have a session, and we'll tell you, because we've done a lot of financial brands, but no easy answers here, guys. It's all based on circumstance and your objectives. There's no standard answer. And we love that challenge. We had done one bit here. It was something we did for Aviva Life Insurance. I think it's this one. Let's just play this. Talking about a small act.
बापू बोलते हैं पढ़ मत, पहले काम कर फिर खाना मिलेगा.
What are you waiting for? Another day, another dawn. Someday we have to find a new way to.
Donate a book to the Aviva Great Wall of Education and bring an underprivileged child closer to education.
Someday we have to find a new way to peace. Sunshine on blue skies, sunshine, break the cloud, blue skies breaking out.
One of the best gifts we have given to these boys and girls.
Delhi has collected 1,23,000 books.
It's a great drive and I am honored to be part of it.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for?
It's interesting that you mentioned
this as the Great Wall. Because in a sense, this is the Great Wall which will actually open doors.
Yeah, I'll stop here. But that's one of the many things that we've done for Viva when they started out. Yeah, it's a start. What else? Any other questions? Anybody? Anything? Life questions. I can answer everything.
Hi. So all this is done by a brand. You have that power of big budgets working for you.
Yeah.
What does a small man do with a small idea? You know?
Yeah.
So when you don't have budgets, when you don't have people working for you to do so much creativity, you know, to have the ad go viral, what does a small man do?
What do you think, guys? What can a small man do? We've seen a lot of small men do great things, yeah? Yeah, so a small man can do anything. Everything is possible. I think everyone who's done great things was once a small man. So, I mean, it's a great question, but the answer is already in the question. That's what I think, yeah? But anyone else, I mean, I'm not a guru, guys. I just do a daily work in advertising. But I'll try and answer if you guys have any advertising related questions. I have a feeling you guys are not advertising guys, right? Yeah. So therefore it might be difficult for you to ask a truly sensitive question, but that's okay. That's okay. It may be an absolutely absurd or stupid question. Doesn't matter, because that is what will help all of us. Yeah. We don't want educated questions. They don't make sense anyway. Yeah. Yeah.
You change that concept of saying brand doing an ad, say, rather than you say now ki brand has to act.
Yeah.
What made you to change? Just to get that emotional connect or anything else behind this thought process?
I think it's your own evolution as a person and what you see happening in the world. And when you see some brands doing great things, you start correlating and saying, I like that. I think they're doing a great job. No, I don't like this because he's just making promises. And then through the process, you start, you know, creating your own ideology about what works in today's world. And more importantly, I think today a lot of young people are saying, you know, don't bullshit. Don't tell me things, involve me. And when they say involve me, don't tell me, they're asking you for action. They're asking you for some form of engagement. That's one of the reasons.
Other thing I noticed was not only the TV media, looking at all the other social media. So that's the entire gambit of action which you go about it.
Correct. Because the world is super social and you've got to look at your ecosystem of communication. Otherwise, crazy things could happen to you. If you forget, there's a whole world looking at you. So you're not alone. There's no privacy. There's no one-to-one target audience. There is no target audience. Because target audience is a 90s concept which says one person. But today, as you talk to one person, there are 3 others who are commenting. So that one person is now 4 persons. Yeah. Cool, I think we're done. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Josy Paul. It's my pleasure now to call on stage Mr. Aman Kanjlea, Director Conferences, Times Conferences Limited, present a memento to Mr. Josy Paul as a token of our appreciation.